Hello, and welcome to Gimmicky Tech, the series about the less noticeable decks and their fun tech options. And this month, we're changing it up. Instead of focusing on a Master Rule 5 deck, we're covering a Rush Duel deck. Now, I know many of you aren't a fan of the Rush Duel format, but I genuinely think it has potential, and I came to this conclusion only after playing the deck we are discussing today, which is Psychics. Now, while this deck is arguably one of the worst decks available within the Rush Duel format at time of recording, I love this archetype as I feel like it embodies one of my favourite aspects of the format, which is the fact anyone can make a combat. With that said, let's assess the tools that Psychics have to enable their 180-degree turnbacks. That turnbacks makes no sense. I don't know why I wrote that, but we'll just roll with it. Okay, I lie, because we need to do the history lesson first. But can this really be classified as history? The format is barely a year old, but there's nothing wrong with a bit of context. So, Psychics originate from the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's anime, which is obvious since they are using the anime as an advertising tool. It makes sense to print all the cards from the show. Anyway, the user of the deck, Romin, or Romine, I don't know how to pronounce her name, didn't play the deck until episode 11 of the series, despite being one of the main characters. I mean, yes, she played the boss monster in episode 3, but that was in Yuga's spare spellcaster deck. We don't see it as an actual archetype until episode 11, and well, the duel was cool. Wish I could say the same about the cards. The inherent problem with Psychics is the fact that combos require you to be losing, since you need to have less life points than your opponent. The deck lacks good options to do that as of now, unfortunately, so the deck is prone to the good old strategy of set and pass. Another problem lies with the fact that some of the ace monsters requiring you to be at certain thresholds of life point total to activate their effects. Even these weird restrictions making their early game extremely weak, but late game in the right situations, their effects become very clutch and help turn the tide of the battle in your favour, so it's a double-edged sword. I would argue that the deck's playstyle is high risk, high reward. You put yourself deliberately on the edge of defeat just so you have a chance of winning. Dominant wins isn't common with this deck. It's all about those sick clutches. God, I want to kill myself. So, let's see what is the best cards for achieving this win condition with the card breakdown. I don't know why I kept saying clutch, Jesus Christ. So, since Psychics is a whole type and not a proper archetype, there's some cards that actually don't fit in that well with the current support, so I'll just give you the highlights. In the normal monster department, you only really want to run the level 2s due to one of the high level monsters having an effect revolving around them. There's like 3 targets for this, but the only one you currently need right now is Catchy Borders, purely because it has the highest attack stat available. If you want more balanced stats, Elite Angel is the pick, and you never use Elite Kiss. I personally only recommend playing a set of 3 of either Borders of Elite Angel, since they are the more useful. Well, there's more useful effect monsters to be running. Just to, quickly add something on here as well. Silent Assassin has the highest attack stat for a normal Silent Psychic, so if you want to beef up your monster lineup, that's also a pretty good option if you want to run it. Focusing on your essentials, Theos of Romance Pick and Amusi Performer. Romance Pick is the core of the deck's consistency, considering it lets you mill cards, and if you hit a Psychic, you can add any Psychic in your graveyard to, and add them to your hand. While the effect's activation requires you to have less life points than your opponent, it makes up for it with it being a soft once per turn. God bless Konami, they didn't learn their lessons about soft once per turns from Ritual Beast after all, and I thank them for that. As for Amusi Performer, while her effect is lackluster, it's one of your combo starters unfortunately, so you're going to be running her until we get better options for the deck, which is probably soon, since at time of writing we got a new set coming out with a possible wave of Psychic support, so let's hope it gives us some new good starters. Spoiler warning, I'm going to be talking about those cards later, and they're not good at all. They're really not. As for your other low-level effect picks, there's like 2 of them, and they are okay, to a degree. Agent Psychic is a good monster recovery option, and the attack directly is cool, I guess. As for Chemical Cure Blue, it's probably the better option for those who are life point conscious, since you can mill the top card of your deck to gain 400 life points, and while also having better stats than Ancient. I'm currently running 3 Chemical and 2 Ancient, but feel free to run 3 Ancient and 2 Chemical if you want. The ratios doesn't really matter with these cards. Moving into your ace monsters, if we're going to use anime terms, let's cover your level 6 options of Romanic and Roller, and Berry Sis, and their solid one-offs. I hate these puns. I really hate these puns. Romantic is a solid once in every 10 tools card, because there's not many chances where will be below 2,000 life points to activate its honestly disappointing effect. Like, 500 attack and defense loss is cool and all, but it would be more useful if it wasn't capped by the 2,000 life point restriction. Like, yeah, I did say this deck's gimmick is living on the edge, but it would be better if they made it like a 3,000 life point cap, or even a 2,000 life point difference would make this effect even more, well, activatable. With the restriction, it spends most of its time being a mediocre, well, beat stick. Berry Cyst in... I hate that pun, I really do. I'm just going to call it Basis. Basis, in comparison, is a much better, well, due to a combo potential. As long as you control another Psychic, you can pay 500 life points to special summon a level 2 normal Psychic from your graveyard, so it's an easy double summon, well, for tributes anyway. While it requires you to have a level 2 Psychic in the graveyard, it's more active than Trashmic over here. Regardless of, well, how useful these cards are solid one-offs, no matter how useless they are. Because really, Romic is just fucking garbage, Jesus. Moving into your big 3 monsters, we're looking at 3 Prima and one-offs of the other 2. Prima Katana of the Colourful Light is your main playmaker with its boost effect and life point cost, helping you edge closer to activating your other cards, so obviously you want to run 3. Esplanade of the Smashing Light is a one-off on the basis it's the biggest body available for the archetype, and has a sick 2-monster pop effect even if it's capped at 1000 life points or less, thanks to being a straight anime adaptation. Folder Blitz of the Dream Stings is better due to it having the restriction that Romic should have, and helps you close the gap in life points. You can run 2 Folder Blitz and Esplanade if you want, but I wouldn't recommend running more than 8 level 5 or more monsters unless you want to increase your chances of bricking. Moving into your back row options, there's some interesting options here we can talk about, and when I say interesting, I mean there's some highly questionable anime garbage in here, and the 2 biggest offenders is a less chic Apropos and Lullabind. I really starting to hate these puns. Like, Jesus Christ. Lullabind is incredibly niche use, which is mainly turning off passive effects and helping your cards get over B6. Well, a less chic makes me wonder why. The card would be more tolerable if it was to face up normal psychic monsters, but they made it so it only works on level 2 normal psychic monsters. Makes sense, you don't want people to gain so much life points, but why restrict to level 2? There's a lot more better cards. Well, there's a much better card that does the same thing for this. So don't even bother with this card. As for Lullabind, side deck if you want to. Covering the decent spells now, Psychic Divergence and Climax Finale are 2-offs each. Divergence does have its uses since it's good when going second, thanks to life point cost, but Hammer Crush exists, and unlike Divergence, it actually gets rid of the possible threat instead of giving it back. I like to run 2 Hammer Crush and 2 Divergence regardless, but feel free to max out on Hammer Crush instead of running, well, Divergence. As for Climax Finale, it does make for a climatic finale of a card, since it supercharges a monster of your choice by 100 attack for each psychic in your graveyard, at the cost of paying 100 life points for each psychic in your graveyard. This card can edge you closer to the win con in 2 ways at once, but just keep in mind that attack boost does lose to the almighty Spirit Shackles, as my friend even painfully reminded me over our many duels. Moving on to traps. There is only 2 traps, and they're both very useful in their own ways. Psychic Introduction is your main way of recovering life points, since you can flip it on an opponent's normal turn and gain 500 life points for each psychic you control, making it a quite beefy 1500 life point gain with a full board. I personally like running it at 2, but maxing out on it or not running it at all is, well, very viable as well. As for dividing Psychic Wall, I like to max out on it for being a good battle trap for Psychics. I mean, you're getting 500 attack gain for recycling a Psychic. That's a pretty good card in my books, and there's nothing else to add. A very nice ending to the current Psychic support. Until we talk about the new wave of Psychic support, oh god. Quickly adding in the new 5 Psychic support cards that were just revealed. 4 of these cards are hot garbage because Psychics can't have nice things. So glad that we replaced one shit gimmick with an even worse gimmick. The only card I will recommend is the new spell, mainly because it lets you cheese out your boss monster without tributing 2 monsters. That's its only use, and you could run it at 3 if you want. As for everything else, just don't play it. It's not even worth the gimmick. It's a really bad fucking gimmick, and I'm talking worse than life point restrictions. Like, if I'm going off script right now, but Jesus Christ, what was Konami thinking when they did this? Like, first of all, the new monster is a level 1 normal monster, when all the other supports level 2 normal monsters, and then they kind of expect you to make this your new playmaker? Like, what? No. No. Well, they got Romance pick that is a very good consistency card. They could have just gave us that again, but no, they gave us hot garbage, and the even more hot garbage to go with it. It's a really bad ending. Just don't play it. Really, just don't play it. Now it's time for the part that stops the series from feeling like a rip-off, which is the tech option analysis. And since Rush Duel is a much newer format, I didn't find this as insufferable because there isn't as many cards to go through, which also means there aren't as many good tech options for the deck, but here's what I got anyway for your consideration. My only monster recommendation as of now is Gabriel, the extra premium sushi angel, and despite sounding like a straight port from the anime, it has its uses. As long as your opponent has more than 4,000 life points than you, you can just burn them for the same attack value as one of their monsters, making this a great gap closing card that you can run over Folder Bullet if you really want to, but I think it would be better if you use it to replace Romic. So in other words, it's a one-off. Moving on to spells, we got 2 good combo starting cards, being Seal of the Agents and Psycho Burial, and I would only recommend Psycho Burial. Seal is a okay card and is a staple free off if you plan to play the game when it comes to the TCG, because you might be waiting a while for Psycho Burial since it's a much later set. But once Burial is available, Seal is a side deck option for those who feel really paranoid about face down cards. Psycho Burial, on the other hand, is a good going first or second since it's the same cost as Seal, and you get to mill up to 3 cards from the top of your deck, giving it great synergy with Romance pick. It's almost like its card was designed for Psychics, and oh wait, it is. Yeah, in the anime it's called Psychic Burial, and I'm going to presume, since the card is generic, they didn't want to make it sound like it's tied to the archetype, so that's why they renamed it. I'm looking forward to see how localization handles it, though, because there's no way they're going to call it Psycho Burial over here. Moving into my next 2 spell card recommendations, we got Card Destruction and Geological Survey, and one of these options is a pure gimmick. Geological Survey lets you excavate the top cards of your deck and lets you either put them back on the top or shove them into the bottom, so it's mainly there if you want to make your Romance pick mills safe. For an actual good option, Card Destruction is your best I want to reset this hand card, because you don't really lose anything by putting your Psychics in the graveyard due to the recycling power of the deck, and how they do benefit from having a graveyard for Psychics. The only downside is the fact you can only run one of it, and it will be taking up your legend spot, but compared to the poor currently available legend cards, this is the best option for the deck by far. I only got 2 trap recommendations for those who like using slower spell speed 1 traps in this spell speed 2 format. First up, Counter Bomb for punishing your foes and maybe also helping you unbreak hands, because you can discard a card, so that's more room for new cards to draw. I don't know anymore. Funny burn card, that's it. Moving on to something I'm a little more confident in, Triangle Reborn can be a very interesting comeback card. This card will always be live because you are milling psychics, and can turn a losing situation into a winning one since it lets you revive a card provided you control no attack position monsters. Also comes packed with recycling power, so what reason is there to not run it too? Simple, I would rather run Dividing Psychic Wall for my recycling power, but feel free to run it if you want to anyway. So here's my deck list. It's sudden, but I don't know how to segue into this. It's nothing too special, feel free to mess around with the ratios if you, well, to your liking I guess. Got really nothing else to say for this part. Just gonna let it hang here while you look at how messy my deck is because Psychics is garbage. Let's move on. Psychics are garbage. They are garbage in normal Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're slightly less garbage in Rush Duel. If Konami stopped printing the cards as straight anime adaptations and actually put some thought into these cards, the archetype would be better, but I don't see that happening. We just have to hope that moving forward, the writers of the anime stop writing stupid gimmick cards for the archetype and start writing some real effects for the physical card game. I honestly hope that happens, because I don't want to live in a timeline where psychics are worse than wherever this garbage is. As for the point of trying to sell you on Rush Duel, well, I guess I'm not that good at selling a format, am I? When I just spend most of the video shitting on Archetype. But if you were going to play Rush Duels, I would still recommend Psychics. It's a very interesting concept, despite the bad card design. But if you really want a good deck to play, I would honestly just recommend playing Royal Demons. Or Dragons. One of those two is good, but seriously, please consider Psychics. Unless you really want to play as Rock and Roll Demons, which is definitely a lot cooler than, I don't know, Techno Psychics. So, hello, welcome to the end of this video. Yes, it's off-script ending time. I honestly still don't know what I should talk about in off-script endings. Yeah, it was fun doing this video. It was, yeah. This video has been a bit of a work in progress, to be honest, because I kind of yet again waited for it to happen because I wanted to see what the new psychic support was about, and then I just gave up and started working on this video. And then halfway through recording the audio, the new psychic support came out. So that was interesting. But anyway, I had a lot of fun working on this video. Well, writing it at least. It was interesting. Started with, man, I really like this archetype, and then just going through the tools, I realized, oh my god, this deck is it's garbage. But I still like it. I still play it. It's the only deck I'm willing to play when I play Rush Duels, because when it does work, it really does pop off. But yeah, anyway, we're moving from one psychic to another psychic archetype. We're going back to normal Yu-Gi-Oh! Back to Master Rule 5, and we're going to be talking about Ritual Beasts. Hey. Anyway, so let's talk about the deets. Beginning with I'm streaming right now. I'm recording this while I stream. Very, very weird and interesting concept. Am I even recording? I am. But yeah, so you can actually just catch me. Usually when I do big editing projects like this, I do like to stream myself editing it. It makes me feel like I have a reason to be editing. Apart from that, yeah, you can catch me streaming other stuff, usually TFT or League. Sometimes it might be Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyway, so I'm not gonna make this a Patreon exclusive for now. Well, I was gonna make it a Patreon exclusive for at least 3 days, but I thought, I'll just release it now. I kind of want to have it out by today. But yet again, if you want to support me and the channel, the best way to do so is through Patreon. I haven't really been posting much there for now, mainly because no one subscribed to the Patreon, so I feel like there's no reason to. But there's stuff up there for now if you're interested in my writing, maybe some other stuff. There's an exclusive video on there as well, which is the Cancel Progression series. You can also go there for early access on my newer Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. I'll probably have to start doing that again and force myself to do it. Apart from that, it's mainly a place where I just put my writing. So if you want to support me and my channel, and also maybe have something to read, or well, also all these other benefits. I'm not very good at selling a Patreon. Apart from that, follow me on Twitter. I know I don't post much on my Twitter, but you can still follow me on Twitter. I sometimes like to post things though. Sometimes, when I remember I have a Twitter. And then also sometimes. Oh god. Yeah. Twitch. Follow me on Twitch, and while we're at it, follow my friend on Twitch because he's kind enough to ping me. He's KR underscore deadset on Twitch. Just, yeah, follow him as well. He's good. He's actually funny. He actually has a community that follows him on Twitch. I don't. No one wants to follow me on Twitch. But anyway, thank you for tuning in and watching this video on Virtual Psychics. I really do hope you will willing to give the format a try when it eventually comes out to the TCG, or if you live in OCG, maybe you are giving the format a try now, because it's a very interesting format, and I do think it has the potential to be a good format, unlike Speed Duel. So please do try it out. Until then, thank you for watching, and goodbye.